there. She's saying, be patient. Albertans are finally being heard by the federal government. You're an Alberta MP now. She's your premier. Are you going to take her advice?
Well, we have no choice. We've had to be very patient with Mark Carney because he's now been prime minister for 6 months. Hard to believe. And he hasn't delivered a permit for a single nation-building project. In fact, construction is down. Investment is down by $62 billion under Mark Carney, which is the biggest net outflow of investment in history, according to the National Bank. And so far, he's succeeded at setting up an office with one employee, and he sent a list of 5 projects that were already approved or almost approved before he got there. And now he's picking up the football in the end zone to spike it. But in reality, some of the projects that he put on his list have already been under construction. It's really incredible to see a prime minister show up and take credit for something that happened before he even got there and then claim that it is a new achievement. But I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think he's been very good at confusing activity with achievement. Lots of meetings, lots of politicians patting themselves on the backs.
So is Danielle Smith confused then?
So
is that what you're saying?
If you look at the actual results, there have been none. As for a pipeline, to the Pacific, we already had one. It was called the Northern Gateway. Justin Trudeau killed it.
Well, the courts said that there was not sufficient consultation.
With respect, the project was approved, and the Trudeau cabinet killed it. They vetoed it. That is a fact. And so that was a multi-billion-dollar project that would have been completed 7 or 8 years ago. Mr. Carney testified against that project. So this might be another...
When you're saying testified at parliamentary committee.
He did. He testified at a parliamentary committee against a pipeline from Hardisty, Alberta to Kitimat, BC, which is exactly the project with some very minor modifications that Ms. Smith is pushing for now. So we're hoping that Mr. Carney has flip-flopped on this, and he'll go ahead with it. But what I would really say on this is that when it comes to these projects, we have 38 projects the federal government has been holding up that are in the Impact Assessment Act system already.
They're in progress right now.
They only need to get a permit to go ahead. They don't need a government grant, a government handout, a press release, a photo op. They really need one thing from Mark Carney: get out of the way and grant a permit so that private money can build private projects that actually make money for our country rather than cost the taxpayer.
I still do not understand, though, why you are saying he's in the way, nothing to see here. The office, you're dismissing it as one employee. That's the CEO. I don't know how many other people have or haven't been hired. But you have Danielle Smith, Tim Houston, Wab Kinew, the business community themselves saying this is important. Danielle Smith saying be patient. How is it that you're saying nothing to see here when so many other people seem to think, across the political spectrum, seem to think that this is meaningful?
Again, I think she's right. We have to be patient because of Mark Carney's snail's pace.
But that's not what she's saying.
What I'm saying is that Mark Carney has been prime minister for 6 months. Now, he promised that we would move at unprecedented speeds, that this was like wartime. 6 months has gone by. Let me give you an example. The Germans built an import terminal for LNG from concept to completion in 194 days. That is not the permit or the announcement or the press release. That means the thing was functional in about the amount of time Mark Carney has been prime minister, during which time he has not approved a single major project. What he has done is taken 5 projects that were basically approved already, sent them to yet another bureaucracy, which is going to review them and consider them going ahead. And there is not an oil pipeline on that list. I don't want to be negative, so I'm going to be positive here. We're proposing the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which would get the government out of the way so that we could rapidly build, the private industry without taxpayer subsidies could build pipelines, mines, LNG terminals, nuclear plants, and more. It would expedite the 38 projects that have been waiting for federal approval, and it would invite the hundreds more that the federal government is blocking, according to Scott Moe. So let's pass the sovereignty. I'm offering Mark Carney to take the act and pass it I'll give him credit for it.
Again,
and we'll
Scott
get it
Moe
done.
said there were 100 projects that were priorities. He did not say the federal government was blocking them. But I want to talk to you about a related issue here, which is about emissions, carbon emissions. I've been covering you for years. I cannot recall hearing you talk about concerns around climate change. Do you worry about what climate change will do to our planet, Pierre Poilievre?
Sure. And that's why I'm so disappointed with the very problematic approach of the Liberal government, which has been to drive up energy costs and block projects from going ahead that would help the environment.
So are
I'll
you an
give you one
environmentalist,
example.
Pierre Poilievre?
Sure, you can call me whatever you like.
No, well, I want to know what you'd call yourself. I mean, we are talking about like sea levels rising, worried about loss of biodiversity. You worry about those things.
Take what you do best and create a website that's worthy of it.
Sure. And I also have solutions. Like if we were to displace dirty Asian coal-fired plants with clean Canadian natural gas, according to the National Bank, we could reduce global emissions by 2.5 billion tons, which is 3 times the emissions of all of Canada for a year. But to do that, you need liquefaction terminals like the one that Prime Minister Harper approved, LNG Canada. And we shouldn't be talking about having one more. We should be talking about having 18 or 19 LNG liquefaction plants. That's the number that were proposed when the Liberals took office. And so what I propose, let's take our natural gas, which is very clean, which is very cheap in Canada. Right now, we only get $3 per million metric British thermal units, and let's sell it to Asia for $14. We could help power the most populous continent by getting them off of dirtier coal and reducing global emissions. But the real difference between myself and the Liberals on this is they believe in keeping it in the ground. Those are Mr. Carney's words, by the way. He wrote them. We can debate whether he's flip-flopped on that as well, or the conservative approach, which is let's use our energy to grow the paychecks of our people and protect the environment. They believe in energy poverty. I believe in energy abundance, and that is the approach that we would take to the environment.
You say you're worried about climate change. Why have we not seen you ever commit to emissions reductions targets?
I just did right now.
That's not a target. That's saying we should do more to reduce our emissions. That's not about meeting the Paris targets. That's not saying our 2030 targets are right, wrong, should be higher, lower.
The current government is not meeting its emissions targets.
But I'm asking whether you think those are valuable targets, not about what the federal government is doing, which you've been clear about.
It would be very easy. In fact, it would be very easy to meet all of those targets if we include the global reductions that the export of Canadian nuclear and natural gas would engender. And so I'd say, sure, not only could we could displace the equivalent of 3 years of emissions in Canada by sending our Canadian natural gas over to Asia and displacing dirty coal. I mean, the Asian economies are adding these coal-fired plants one after the other because they don't have access to affordable natural gas. We have the most affordable gas. It's easy for us to liquefy it because our cold climate does most of the work. And we have the shortest shipping distances to both Asia and Europe of any country in the Americas. So why would we not use that kind of pragmatic approach that enriches rather than impoverishes us?
I want to turn to another one of your policy proposals here because our
Sure.
time is finite. You have called on the government to get rid of the temporary foreign worker program. The Prime Minister has said he will adjust the program to make it more strategic. Why do you believe that there is never a need for these workers outside of the agricultural sector?
Because we have unemployed Canadians. Since Mr. Carney took office, we've hemorrhaged 86,000 jobs. Really hard to believe.
Surely some of that is related to U.S. tariffs and the uncertainty.
The tariffs that Mr. Carney promised he would manage to get rid of through his promise to negotiate a win by July 21st. And it's also, according to the Business Council, the red tape of the federal government is responsible for more economic damage than even the tariffs. That's what the business community says. But it's true that in fairness, Mr. Carney has failed to keep his promise on negotiating a deal, and that has obviously hurt our economy.
He said he would only sign a deal if it was good for Canada. He did not promise a deal under no conditions.
He promised to, quote, negotiate a win. He promised to have a deal by July 21st. Those are broken promises. Now, you asked me about temporary foreign workers. And so but I had to respond to your interjection. And so on temporary foreign workers, we've got 350,000 people in Toronto alone who are unemployed. We have the worst job numbers since the 1990s for our youth. And when you have 14% unemployment for youth, it is appalling that we're bringing in low-wage temporary foreign workers who are exploited again and again, exploited by those seeking to profit off of paying below market wages. And the Liberal government is on track this year to having the largest number of temporary foreign workers in Canadian history. What I'm saying is we should do is...
There are a multitude of factors affecting the job market. AI, tariffs, some of the numbers of temporary foreign workers you've talked about more broadly are renewals of people who have been here for some time. Do you worry about telling Canadians that these job losses, tying it directly to temporary foreign workers, that people will perceive that as blaming temporary foreign workers?
No, because I haven't blamed temporary foreign workers. I've said precisely the opposite. They're great people. They're not to blame. The Liberal government is to blame. It's the Liberals that are bringing people. The temporary foreign workers are just seeing a job opportunity and getting a work permit. They're just doing what the Liberal government told them to do. But I think it's appalling that when I go to towns across this country, parents tell me their kids cannot get jobs to start off and start saving for school because in part, the 100,000 plus temporary foreign workers that employers prefer to have in some cases because they can pay them less. And my answer is let's
say they will work shifts other people won't.
Let's raise wages. And what I say to everybody is raise wages. Let's pay more. If you want to attract Canadian kids, pay great Canadian wages. A stronger take-home pay is one of my big priorities for this fall session. And that means ensuring that even though there aren't a lot of jobs in Canada right now, they should go to Canadians first.
I would like to switch gears here and talk about a developing news story, which is the assassination of U.S. conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The FBI has this morning announced that they have arrested a suspect. In this country, when we talk about political violence, you and the Prime Minister have both said it is never justified. But we know that there are growing threats against politicians. That includes yourself and your family.
Yes.
Are you worried?
I worry for my family. I'll be honest with you. We have had very serious threats to the point where the RCMP decided that it merited protection for my family and I for over a prolonged period of time. And they've been multiple and they have been serious threats. I think we need to secure all of our political leaders, not just me. I think all the political leaders and ministers who face real threats according to the RCMP's assessment, they should have protection so that something like this does not happen on our turf here in Canada.
The fact that you're saying that should happen suggests that perhaps there are instances where you think it's not happening. There's not sufficient securing.
Listen, I don't know if you can secure everything, but I think we should do I'm not going to accuse the government of anything on that front. I know that all the political leaders would share my view that this is unfortunately a risk that's out there, and we should do everything we can to mitigate it.
More broadly, what do you think we should be doing differently on a more societal level, political dialogue to try to address this?
We don't know what motivated this person, so I have a hard time saying what different behavior would have avoided him doing this act. But I think we need to make clear that you can't shut people down just because you disagree with them. Obviously, Mr. Kirk was killed because he expressed a contrary point of view. He said something that somebody didn't think that they should have to hear. But that's democracy. Democracy doesn't mean you get to silence someone just because you disagree with what they have to say. Disagreement and debate is necessary in a free and open democracy. And we can't let the terrorist who carried out this assassination change that.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do.
Is there a change? So that's what we shouldn't do. Is there a change? We've heard about the idea of disagreeing agreeably? Is there a tonal change in this country, in Canada's politics, that is needed to keep people safe in the face of this climate?
I think we have to inculcate the idea that we're all going to go through life hearing things we don't agree with, and we don't get to shut down contrary opinions. We have to debate them. We have to, sometimes it's frustrating, maddening, but that's life in a democracy. And, we have to raise our kids, and we have to teach all citizens that freedom of speech includes hearing things you don't like. And we can't censor people, attack them, try to destroy their lives, fire them, kick them out of their place of work, whether it's a media organization or carry out violence as a mechanism to silence views that we don't agree with.
Obviously, there's a pretty dramatic difference between a political assassination and someone, the examples you gave of somebody losing their job because they said something offensive to a reporter in front of a TV camera. I think there was a very public example of that, losing their job. Those things are not really the same.
No, they're not. That's not what I was saying. What I'm saying is that we need to live in a society where people are free to express themselves, and where everyone understands they're going to have to hear contrary opinions. I hear them all the time. It's part of
this example, I guess, is relevant. Is that particular case of the reporters being harassed, people yelling this offensive "F her" right in the it talks about the limits. Like it's true. I understand what you're saying, that people should be able to speak their minds, but we also need limits on what is appropriate when people shouldn't be harassed in the workplace and whatnot. Like, do you think it's inappropriate for someone to lose their job when they conduct what appears to be an act of public harassment?
Of course.
Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to understand where you see the line, given that you put all those things in the same category.
Where I see the line is that people have the freedom to express political opinions that are contrary to others. But of course, that does not include carrying out harassment against. In fact, my point was exactly the opposite of that. If you're harassing someone or you're aggressing against someone because of their political point of view, then you're behaving inappropriately, and that should not go on.
Okay, we're going to end the conversation there. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.